Welcome to this, a very special Talk 2 presentation with Talking Town, discussing the 1991-92 title-winning season. Before we get into tonight's show, I want to say a huge thank you to our partners who support the platform. That is Woodpecker Mortgages and Protection and Away Day Beers. Away Day Beers combining coffee and beer. I've got a poncho to enjoy this evening, but you have got the beat, the golden goal, poncho, bonzo, all sorts on there. So do go and check them out. They're run by a Ipswich Town fan called Josh, and Woodpecker Mortgages and Protection are run by a town fan. There you go. Look at that. He is also on the
Hursty's hat trick.
Oh, Hursty's hat trick. Don't forget, you can support us through Ko-Fi, one-off or on a monthly contribution. So, gentlemen, the plan for this evening is this. The chat will hopefully do its thing, get very busy, bring in lots of memories, questions, whatever they want to discuss, get it in the chat. I will collect that information, and at the end of the show, I will come back after you two have reminisced with Romeo and Craig, and we will put the questions from the chat to the two stars of that title winning side. Does that sound acceptable for both of you?
Yeah.
You're both okay? Parachuted in and put in the deep end?
Sounds good to me.
Good stuff. Take it away then, gentlemen, and I'll bring the chaps in when you two are ready. Go for it.
How you feeling, Matt, by the way?
I'm all right, thanks. I'm better than I was yesterday.
Sorry we're late, everyone. Sorry we're late. Romeo had a little bit of technical difficulties, but we've got it sorted now. We've had a little chat backstage. A few laughs. I've got a few stats here, Matt. Romeo, 271 league appearances for Town, 13 goals. Player of the year, 86, 87. Captain the team for 2 seasons, 88, 89, 89, 90. Signed for 70,000 from West Brom, Matt, in 1984.
Yeah.
So he was at Town for 8 years. Craig Forrest, obviously, we've had Craig on here before, and it was a marathon 2-hour show. One of my favourites, if I'm being honest. I think that's one of my favourite shows.
Agreed.
263 league games. Player of the year, 94, 95. And he was at Town between 85 and 97. But tonight, they're both here to discuss my favourite season. You know, growing up, we go on now, don't we, Matt, about Town fans. You know, they've had no success, but I think we're very lucky to see, you said before, like, the last, but back then, the last trophy to be lifted at Portman Road.
That's unbelievable to me, that. 30 years.
And I can remember.
Shows you we've been treading water all this time.
I can remember games like they were yesterday, you know, some of them. Martin's got some footage. Hopefully we're going to be able to play sort of later on in the show. But
I tell you, Rich, I can still remember the day Romeo signed. I was at football training and chatting about it with my mates. Oh, we signed this guy called Romeo Zondervan. They were like, who? I've never heard of it. I was like, West Bromwich Albion. Funny how you remember these things. Like, that was 84. Now he's on the show. It's fantastic.
So Matt, the other day, right, I've got it here. In your Talking Town time machine.
Yeah.
It was the programme from, I can't remember the game, Matt, that you had him, and he was focused on Romeo Zondervan.
Yeah.
So, Cortina.
Yeah.
Favourite newspaper, the Daily Mirror. Obviously, Romeo doesn't like the Sun.
Yeah.
Favourite player, Johan Cruyff.
I think his favourite music then was it Dire Straits?
Well, we can get Romeo in, bring Romeo and Craig in, because we can ask him if he's still a big fan of Dire Straits now.
Yes, I am.
There you go.
He is. Mark Knopfler.
Mark, yeah. I am still a big fan, yeah.
Oh, brilliant. Great to see you, Romeo. And welcome back, Craig. Thanks.
My pleasure. It's great to be back. How's everybody doing?
Yeah, we're doing well. Like we said in the chat, we're celebrating finishing 11th in the 3rd division, Craig.
Woo!
Yeah, put the flags up. Matt's very grumpy. He's very grumpy up there because he's we're not really happy, are we? Really?
No, I've been poorly all week as well, so that hasn't helped my mood. But yeah, look, it's great that we could talk about lifting silver, and as we just said, it's the last time we actually lifted a first team trophy was when you guys were on the pitch in '92. I mean, does it feel like yesterday to you guys, or does it feel like 30 years has passed? I mean, you know, winning silverware like that. I mean, it's big career highlights, isn't it?
Well, it's
Well-
obviously a long time ago, but it's when you go through that and you experience it with a group of players that we had and
Yeah.
and a tight group that we were, and also going through several years of, after being relegated from the top flight and the downfall, and really, after the glory years of Ipswich, it was tough being that next generation.
Yeah.
I know Romeo signed in '84. That was when I showed up as a youth player, but he was playing through all that, and then to get back into the top flight again was really special. So it's something that I remember very well.
What about you, Romeo?
Well, as Greg said, it's indeed a long time ago, but I remember it clearly when we won the league.
Yeah,
At the
yeah, of
time.
course. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you'd already been at town. People don't realise you'd already been at town like 8 years, didn't you? Like we say, signed in '84 to replace
Yeah.
John Walk, and then you end up being in the same promotion team as him.
No,
Circle.
did I replace John Walk? No, I didn't. No.
When you came in, yeah.
I
Walkie
played-
went to Liverpool. Walkie went to Liverpool, and I think you came in around that time anyway.
I
Romeo
came
made his
around that
debut.
time.
You made your debut for Town. It was the first ever game I went to, 1984,
Watford.
Watford at home.
Yeah.
Oh,
Score.
yeah, I remember.
My
Yeah.
first ever game.
I still
Yeah.
got a trophy with my first game. Yeah,
All right, brilliant.
84. That was against. Yeah, I remember that game actually.
0-0 against Watford.
Sorry.
0-0 against Watford.
Yeah, nil-nil
But,
draw.
yeah. I remember that.
So, Craig, going into the 91-92 season, we'd finished 14th the season before. What was the expectation under John Lyall? I think you went to Finland, didn't you, on pre-season?
Yeah. Well,
What-
our
what-
expectations weren't really. I don't think we really had any, except we just needed to improve on our season before.
Yeah.
The attendances at the games were poor. It was going south. It wasn't a good place to be. But we knew we had a really good manager. John Lyall was pretty special, and he deserves a ton of credit for getting us there, as well as keeping us there. I think for 3 years with the squad that we had. So. Yeah, it was, and we started it off well. And I know, the seasons are so long too that with the amount of games you have in that division,
Yeah.
it's relentless, isn't it, Romeo? It comes at you quickly, and games and everybody's chasing you, and then you're trying to get over the finish line, and it's tough to enjoy the ride until you get
Yeah.
over the finish line, and you actually can kind of breathe a bit.
Yeah.
What did you make of John Lyall coming in, Romeo? Because you came to the club with Bobby Ferguson, then it was John Duncan, wasn't it? And then you've got this iconic figure of West Ham, John Lyall comes in. I think he had a career break, Rich, for a season before he actually took over at Town.
Yeah, well, as Greg remembers, the training with John Lyall. You remember, Greg, when we had this circle and the ball, he threw the ball and everybody had to head the ball. The one who had the ball could come out of the circle. You remember that?
I do.
And
I
it was
do.
I won
really
that.
physical. It was really physical. But in the end, I must say, everybody clicked together. We won games, and games after game we won, and everybody got confidence at the end. And even myself, in the old age, I was 32 then. At the time, I wanted to stay actually at Ipswich when I left. But it was my missus who said to me, well, the kids are getting a bit older now. It's about time we leave, we go home now. And in the end, I gave in. John Lyall gave me a 1-year contract, and I could sign a 3-year contract at the Dutch club, NEC Breda.
Oh, right, yeah. That's where you went after Town, yeah.
That's when I went after Town, yeah. But I must say, I was homesick. I was really
Yeah.
homesick to England.
Wow.
Yeah, seriously, it's unbelievable. But
I remember that. I remember Romeo being always feeling a little bit that way, and that's why I know you got your pilot's license. You used to bomb back and forth. And then we also I remember we took you to Jack's Calf for the very first.
oh
time.
yeah,
Remember?
yeah.
That's still
Yeah.
there, isn't it?
Still there? Yeah,
Yeah.
still there now,
Oh,
Craig.
the Sainsbury's petrol station.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, legendary, right? And then I think the lady came. I think she had a smoke in her mouth. She's serving.
Oh yeah.
Serving your toast, and it fell
Yeah.
off into the
Yeah.
ash. Like,
As to the flavour.
But Greg, who was, remember Sergei Boltacha came and we went to the house of Bob, who was at Jack's Cafe. He was the owner.
oh, that's
Bob.
right.
Who was it, Bob? Can't think of his name now.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. You guys should know he's the old Ipswich.
He died. Actually, he died. Not that long
Anyone know in
ago.
the comments, but we think his name was Bob.
I think his name was Bob.
Yeah, it was definitely Bob something. I can't remember. Yeah.
Okay.
But he was
That's
a
right.
well-known figure in Ipswich.
Oh, okay.
So talking about well-known places in Ipswich, when we had Craig on last, Romeo, obviously this season, you frequented Hollywoods quite a lot, didn't you? Did Romeo go there with you?
Of course
No.
he did.
No,
Ah.
I know Hollywood.
Hey, with
I
a name
remember
like
Hollywood.
Romeo, he was killing it.
Bob Shelley. Bob Shelley's the guy's name. Everyone's
Bob
saying.
Shelley,
Bob
that's the name.
Shelley.
Well
That's
done.
right.
There you
Yeah,
go.
good shout out there.
If I got it right, he died not that long ago.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Oh, that's sorry to hear that.
He was the owner of Jack's Cafe, was he?
I think so. Yeah.
I believe
Yeah,
he was,
did
yeah.
Did you get discounts there as players? Did you get like 10% off or something?
No, you got ash
No.
on your toast though.
Salted into. Well, it's obviously a good place. It's still going. Still going.
Oh, it's the best.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
it
let's
was near the roundabout.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's up by
Roundabout.
Sainsbury's as you come in off the Hadley Road.
Yeah.
Still there.
The
So back
Kesgrave
in-
Kitchen was another beauty.
Was it?
The Kesgrave Kitchen.
Kesgrave Kitchen.
Casgrave Kitchen. That was after my time then.
Yeah, I think it may be.
Yeah.
Is it not there anymore, lads?
I don't know. When were you last over, Craig? When did you last come over to Ipswich?
Oh boy, it's been a long time.
You've got to come over. Get onto Milts. Get both of
Yeah.
you over. Get to a game.
Yeah.
I was gutted when I heard the first floor club was shut down. I guess it's been a long time.
Greg, I heard you were doing some television.
There you go.
Pundit.
Kesgrove Kitchen is still going strong, Mike Baker
Still
says.
going. He's still going these places. It's great to hear.
Yeah, see, I was doing quite a bit of television for several years until a big switch in media worldwide, really, with like the likes of DAZN that can run the whole operation from one location out of London, and sort of killed jobs, because although TV is somewhat protected for jobs in Canada, the internet's the wild, wild west, and there's not protections behind that. So anyway, it sort of killed that. So moved into podcasts and things like that, and doing stuff like these lads are doing, which is really interesting. It's different, and I think it's the way forward. Is certainly from a consumer point of view. I think people really enjoy listening to these types of things. It's more authentic, I think.
When was the last time you two actually chatted like this?
Well, this is when I left Ipswich in '92. This is the first time we see each other.
So you're talking like old friends again. I love that.
Yeah, well, it's
I actually-
great. It's
Yeah,
unbelievable.
it's awesome to see you. I think we saw you. I saw you once in Ipswich. You had a player you brought over for Ipswich to look at or something. You're working as an agent or something like that. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Well, I took quite a few players to Ipswich. Well, the most Dutch players actually. What's his name? Martijn Reuser, Fabian.
Yeah, Martin
Wilders.
Royce. So we had him on the Romeo a little while back. He said that you scouted him to town.
Yeah.
Thanks very much, because he was a great player and we all love him.
On behalf of all fans, thanks, mate.
It's a shame that the rules are changed after the Brexit. It's going to be difficult now to get Dutch players into the league they're in now. But actually, Martijn Reuser called me and said, "Romeo, why don't you get players into Ipswich?" But the rules are changed now after the Brexit, so it's going to be difficult to get Dutch players into this league.
Yeah.
Right, so let's go on with the season, Matt. So in August, Craig.
I want to start the first game. That Bristol Rovers game was mental.
Yeah, we're wearing that beautiful orange kit, Romeo. The Bristol Rovers, and the sun's out. We're sailing to an easy 3-0 victory, Craig.
Yeah.
Then what happens?
Then what happens?
Greg, if you can remember this game, then I hand it over to you because I can't remember this.
Well,
I remember the jerseys.
We're 3-0 up and we draw 3-3.
Really?
I'd imagine John Lyall wasn't too happy, Craig, in the dressing room after.
Yeah, no, and I think those games were played in the town of Bath.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's round there. That's right. Yeah. That's exactly. Yes.
You saved the penalty in that game, didn't you, Craig?
Oh, geez, I don't recall, but I remember it was like my shorts were really short.
Devon White was playing. I remember Devon White and Marcus Stewart, who went on later to play for Town.
The guy called Alexander. This is the pen. Craig Forrest saves the pen.
There you go.
It's consulting my notes there. What?
So
they always say, Rich, don't they? 2-0 is the most dangerous lead in football, but then at 3, it's done and dusted. But
Dazelle, Goddard, Stockwell on the mark, and you fought 3 points. But after that, look, we had a great August because we took 10 points from 12. Yeah. We beat Port Vale. You were on about the crowds, Craig. So for the Port Vale game, there was 8,937. Matt was there that night.
Compared to the last game of the season, which is what, 26?
Yeah, where we had nearly 27,000 against Brighton. So
those Johnny
you had better attendances this season, didn't you?
Yeah, it's unbelievable.
Yeah,
we had 26,000 yesterday for the game against Charlton.
26,000.
You know what I think? I think part of it was. I think it was literally coming out of that golden generation. Just the FA Cup, the UEFA Cup, being so close to the winning the league, being one of the top 2 or 3 clubs in the country, and then the fall from that. I think people were just really depressed. And didn't want to go. And the style of football we were playing at times, Romeo. I mean, you're in midfield and you had to stretch the ball off at the end of the game. I mean, it was just terrible football.
But it was terrible at the time. But if you look at it, we started to play football. We got the ball down. We chased when we lost the ball, and I think all the credits to John Lyall, the way he wanted us to play. He succeeded in that way.
Exactly.
You were one of the older players, Romeo, in that team. Were you seen as one of the? And Craig, you can probably back this up. Were you seen as one of the leaders in the dressing room alongside Walkie and Milts and David Linnigan?
I was one of the oldest players, but when I look back, what can I say about those days? I was quite happy, the way everything went, but there was some struggle with players.
Oh, okay.
Some of the players, myself.
Oh, okay. Well, in terms of how you wanted to play, or personality clash?
No, not the way we want to play, because John Lyall was very good at get us together and to play. But there were some small struggles, and I don't think Greg knows about this. Do you know?
No, I don't know. I don't think so.
Okay.
You might as well tell us now, Romeo. Don't dangle a carrot in front of us.
No. There were some struggles, for example, with David Linnigan.
Okay.
Towards myself, and then there was some little struggles, but nobody knew at the time. Because we're winning games. Yeah,
of course.
And everything was just, normal. But I don't want to talk about the past. I had a great time at Ipswich. So, yeah.
I always used to think as a kid, Rich, I don't know about you, I always used to think all the players would get on like best friends. My dad used to say to me, some of them might not like each other. I don't like everyone I work with. I was like, really?
This
is like a newsflash to me.
No, you don't have to be friends with all the people you work with.
Yeah, exactly. You don't really think
no chance. And sometimes, you say harsh words to each other.
Yeah. And if you look from managers' points of view, and you talk about the modern era, and players not playing for a manager or stopping playing for a manager, and I just like for myself, and I know Romeo was the same sort of makeup. It wasn't who the manager was, and you might not like the way they're playing, but you're going to put it in 100% because you're representing yourself, you're representing the club, the fans.
Yeah.
Like it's not like I could take a day off and go, although sometimes it might have seemed like I did. But so I didn't always like the managers and where we were going, but it didn't change the fact that when I went out on the pitch that I was going to do my job the best I possibly could.
Well, I didn't want to mention his name because obviously Craig probably gets a bit nervous when he hears the name Andy Cole, but Cole and Sheringham, when they were at Man United, didn't get on, Matt.
No,
but when they went on the pitch, they played really well together. We'll gloss over that because we don't want to go back there, Craig. We spoke about that last time. Getting back to the football that we were playing some good football there, unbeaten in format.
Yes.
Then Glenn Hoddle comes along with Swindon, Craig.
Oh, God, yeah.
First defeat, Portman Road. It was a Tuesday night, 4-1. What do you remember of that game?
Well, I think he played, didn't he?
I think he was sweeper, wasn't he?
Sweeper, yes, he did.
Yeah.
And he was sweet. He was spreading the ball around like I was like, wow, okay. Now I get, the quality. Do you remember that, Romeo? I mean,
Yeah. It comes vaguely back, yeah.
His passing from that spot was just
that was his game.
Something.
Had you played against him before, Romeo? Because he played. I was looking at a bit of footage today, Matt. When I think it was 84, 85, we played Spurs early season, and they beat us 3-0 at Portman Road, and he scored a really good goal. I'm pretty sure you were playing against him in that game.
Yeah, I remember that game.
Yeah. I remember playing against him, and I played against him at West Bromwich Albion as well when I first came to England.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is it difficult? Because after that we beat Southend 1-0 at home, Rich. Was it difficult to get over the fact of just being absolutely thrashed at home to then suddenly get the mindset to go out and get 3 points?
What, against Southampton or Southend, you mean?
Yeah. So we lose 4-1 at home to Swindon, and then the very next game we beat Southend 1-0. Was it like you said earlier, Craig? The games come thick and fast. Was it a case of, like Romeo said, you got to leave that in the past in order to move forward?
Well, we certainly were inconsistent, and that was our major problem. And I don't think really until it was just about the New Year time when we really just started to click, and we just had a system of play that just seemed to work, and for the most part, everybody stayed healthy too. I don't remember anybody having any major injuries or anything like that.
We had one major injury because Newcastle away drew 1-1. I think Tony Humes broke his arm. Now, Johnny Walk, you probably both remember, he was at the club just training, wasn't he?
Yes.
Yeah, I can remember that, yeah.
The rest is history. Obviously, he came into the team and got player of the year.
It was amazing. Yeah, he was just sort of lingering around the club, basically. He's like an old guy with a cane trying to get a contract, and it was like they put him out there, and it's like, okay, yeah, he was brilliant. He was brilliant.
He was. I can say, when somebody asked me here in Holland, who was the player you think was the best player you played with, and then when I think of John Walk, in the box, when the ball came in the box, he was there with a header or a tap in.
Yeah.
He wasn't a player who would get past 1-2 players. No, even with corners, he was dangerous with his head.
We've got a little bit of footage later on, Romeo. We will come to Walkie later on. I think it's the Newcastle home game. But because he played centre-back, didn't he, Craig, when he came back alongside David Linnigan?
Yeah, he did.
What was their partnership like?
Slow. No, they obviously they did a pretty good job. I mean, all things considered, and some of the games I've like the one game at Manchester United, Giggsy was 1-0, not the hammering 9-0.
That was the one. Was that the 1-1? The first time we went there, wasn't it?
Yeah, 1-1 or 0-0. One of those two draws. One of those games. And he Giggsy could not get it by him, and that's all he had to do was get the ball by him, and he's in on goal. And he could not get by him. It just his timing of his tackles was incredible. And Alex Ferguson, I think, and John Lyall were having conversations after the game, like how can he not get by him?
This old guy. Yeah. I mean, I was going to say, Craig, as a keeper, is your relationship with the two centre halves, is that like the key conversation you have to have on the pitch at all times, or was it a little triangle of communication basically between you, Linnigan, and Walker?
Well, yeah, or anybody else in the vicinity either, as well. Your fullbacks are really important when they need to be given information. You got one thing not playing as an out player, which I think is so important for youngsters to play all positions to get a feeling and sort of a nuances about that position, because like a lot of out players, they don't know what the difficulties are for goalkeepers. Same for us. So when I starting to learn that, because talking to, I was living with Frank Yallop, so he was a fullback, and then about what kind of information he's looking for, because he hasn't got eyes in the back of his head. Then you start to build on that side of your sort of profile as a goalkeeper as well. Yeah. So talking and information on the field is massive, and it's one of the last things.
That much that season, did he? Right back, mainly Mickey Stockwell, wasn't it?
Yeah, mainly Mickey Stockwell. Yeah.
Was that because John Lyall liked Mickey better, or was it?
Because of Canada, Craig? Was he playing for Canada back then, Frank? Wasn't he?
Yeah. Well, he went to Tampa Bay Mutiny in Major League Soccer, and they folded. Then I think he ended up in Washington, and then went into coaching, which was a great move for Frank. Actually, I remember when Frank actually made that move to MLS, and I wasn't sure it was the right decision for him, to be honest with you. I thought he had a few good years left of him in him over in England, but from getting ahead and getting to get into the MLS system and in coaching in North America, that was really important, and he wouldn't have happened, I don't think, if he didn't go there early. So he ended up coaching with DC United, and then moving to Los Angeles and San Jose, where he won several titles. Actually, recently he just got put into the San Jose Earthquake Hall of Fame, which was...
I saw that. They did the video, didn't they? Yeah, it was really good.
Yeah. Look, I thought when his wife and two boys popped up, I thought they were being held hostage.
Shows you how many people he's affected in terms of his coaching career and influenced. Great to see.
That's right. Yeah. Well, I mean, when you go way back, Bobby Robson started his coaching career in Vancouver.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, very true. Going back to Walkie, Romeo, did John Walk bring anything, that sort of experience that he had around the club? Did he sort of bring anything to your game that was kind of new that you learned from Walkie in that season?
Oh my God, good question, that.
Get out of the way when the ball was coming in the box.
Yeah.
Leave it to Craig.
Yeah. Defensively, he could head the ball. Yeah. No, but when I think back those days, Walkie, he was calm on the ball. Did he bring in anything, that made me better? I think Walkie, he was experienced at the back together with Linnigan at the time. Mm-hmm. I think he was one of these players. You had the confidence that everything would be okay. Yeah. When he got the ball, he was so calm, experienced, played the ball.
He made us better.
He made us better. Yeah.
It was such a figurehead to us. He was like, as a little kid, he was my favourite player, and in the junior blues, I'd get a card from him, properly signed. As you get older and he returns to the club, it was like, I don't know, it felt like homely. Do you know what I mean? It felt like everything was going to be okay because Walkie's returned to Fulham Road. That's
I don't know if you could tell me differently, but I've never been able to find anybody in Ipswich that have a bad word to say about Walkie. He had time for everybody. I mean, this guy in the modern day, going back, he was a superstar. He was a top tier player. He was a leading goal scorer, I believe, from midfield at Liverpool. He's an absolute legend. I mean,
30 plus goals.
Top drawer. Yeah.
I was going to say, when he came back, Craig, obviously, and you do your finishing in training, was he still the best finisher at the club, even though he was playing centre half?
Yeah, probably was. I mean, certainly from the heading point of view, like I've never seen a guy be able to head the ball from both sides, diagonal balls, and be able to almost disguise them. I mean, he was always, well, he would even say it. He was, I'm 3 days ahead of you.
Great impression.
He was unbelievable also with corners. The goals he scored with his head through corners. That was his timing was perfect.
Ipswich have struggled with that all season. This season, Romeo, we've not scored. I think we've scored 1 goal from a corner all season. 46 league games.
Oh well, shows you that the club is missing a player like him.
Yeah,
someone who can score with his head.
I wonder if he could still do a job next season for us.
Well, knowing him, he'll probably will.
Yeah, probably in the third tier. I can imagine he probably would.
It's always nice. It's always nice to have a weapon. Well, I mean, John was, in his heyday, was obviously a midfield player, but it's always good to have center backs or a center back that can pick up goals. I would say like somebody like Rio Ferdinand, that was really his downfall. He wasn't that great at attacking diagonal balls, believe it or not. He didn't score enough goals. Where John Terry, he's filling the net. So those goals, they pick up on set pieces. And like you say, if you said you scored 1 this year, Ipswich.
Yeah, and Kieran McKenna, the new boss, said, we won't get promoted unless we're scoring from set pieces. And the proof's in the pudding this season, Craig.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, now they have set piece coaches. Actually, they go to clubs.
Yeah.
We go back to October, Matt. We're into October, and we go on a run of 8 games without a victory. Into November. So we get to November, 2-1 away at Molineux. David Linnigan actually pops up with a goal, Craig. What was it like playing at Molineux with that? They had that big stand, didn't they? That they built a new stand on the side, but it was miles away from the pitch, wasn't it?
Well, yeah, because they had the plans for the whole stadium to be built, and they made that one massive. So they had this fairly new one stand that sat quite a ways away, and then the rest of it was pretty much condemned.
Yeah.
And the state of the club, the welfare of the club, they were in really bad state. I mean, I'd gone there, I think, the year or two before with Colchester when they were in the 4th tier, and Wolves did the drop, consecutive drops, from 1, 2, 3 right into division, the 4th division at that time or at one time. So, but Steve Bull was there forever. He was there when I played in the 4th tier on loan at Colchester, and and you could see, you could tell that Wolves was a sleeping giant. I mean, they're obviously a very well supported club, and it's kind of nice to see them back in the top flight, playing with some really nice football too.
Good team. I was going to say, Rich, we're talking about finishing and Walkie being really good at finishing. One name that Romeo and Craig that keeps cropping up as one of the scorers, Chris Kiwomya, or as Frank called him on the show, Chrissy K.
Chrissy K, yeah.
I mean, what was he like, Romeo? What was he like as a character in the dressing room, Romeo? Chrissy K.
Oh, he was great. Good laugh. You could laugh with him. The jokes he made. But Chrissy K, I remember as the fastest player I played with. You could play the ball deep, and he was chasing the ball. He was so quick those days. And I think that, where did he go after Ipswich? Was it Arsenal?
Yeah, he went to Arsenal, but he only played about 5 or 6 games because I think Bruce Rioch signed him, and then he got sacked, and then Arsene Wenger come in, Romeo.
Yeah.
Okay, well, did he do well there at Arsenal?
He only played about, I think that's 6 games. He scored 3 or 4 goals, Matt.
Yeah.
He never really got a fair crack there.
Yeah, you're right, Greg. Yeah. Got the big money move, and didn't really get the fair crack. You're right. That's a good way of summing it up, I think.
Pace, his pace pace is key. It's so great to have on your side, because for defenders, first of all, it terrifies you, and then for when you've got that weapon, knowing that you can always get out and he's going to get on the end of it. I remember a race between Chris and Schmeichel from Man United, and Schmeichel, he didn't get anywhere near it. He went around him and scored. So and at training we used to Ipswich Park. we used to, do fairly, long distance running during preseason, whatever. Chris would be like finished like 4 days before everybody else.
Yeah.
Hey, remember that? And he wasn't even sweating.
Yeah. I was that in my younger days.
Yeah.
I could run. I was a good runner. But
He's actually coaching. He's actually coaching now. Rob Smith in the comments. I heard he was on the local radio in the week, Craig, because they had obviously it was the 30-year anniversary.
Talking about this.
British Virgin Islands now. Chris Kiwami.
Oh, Cayman Islands, is it? Cayman Islands? Oh, British Virgin, right? Yeah, British Virgin Islands. Yeah.
He said the best bit of advice John Lyall ever gave him when he came to town was he said to Chris, when you're in the box, stand still. And Chris was sort of, stand still, you've got to be on the move. And he said, stand still, because you will get a lot of goals by just standing still. And he did, because he was our top scorer, Matt, that season. He got, I think it was 16 league goals. He got
in the league. Yeah, 16 in the league.
I think 14 of them were inside the 6-yard box.
Yeah.
Was that part of John Lyall's tactics, Romeo and Craig? Would John say try and get the ball forward as quickly as possible for Chris to chase after, or what was kind of the thinking?
Now we're going back a long way back, but Chris was a player. I think the manager meant when he stands still and then move. Instead of moving all the time, you take a defender, which is very difficult. But if you stand still and you know where the ball is going to be drop or being played, then you move. Yeah. I think that's what John Lyall tried to say to him.
I always remember, Matt, that season, something strikes me, Craig, was the long diagonal ball from Neil Thompson. He'd ping it out to Steve Whitten and he could head it into Chris's feet in the box.
Yeah, we did that game after game, and Steve Whitten was amazing. He would win them every single time.
Yeah.
What signing he was? He came from Birmingham, Matt. I see him play in the FA Cup, Craig, against us for Birmingham.
Yeah, I remember that game. I remember that. Yeah, I was at that game.
And we signed him he was on a free transfer.
Yeah, great signing.
Great player.
Yeah.
Didn't he come with Paul Goddard?
I think Paul Goddard come from Millwall, didn't he? Because he was at West Ham, obviously.
Yeah, season later, I think it was. Yeah.
Season later, okay.
Yeah.
That was a good move.
Yeah.
It was a good move to sign him at the time, because you're right, he was a good header to flick on,
Because he had been at West Ham, I think.
Yeah.
So Lyall would have known him from there, wouldn't he? And of course, Goddard was one of these trusted players at West Ham.
Steve Whitten, Craig. Steve Whitten always looked miserable when he scored.
He was?
He was always miserable. Steve Whitten, when he scored a goal, Romeo, he never really celebrated, did he?
Oh my God! Do you recall that?
Yeah,
Greg. That he never.
Well, now that you guys mention it, it'd be like, okay,
yeah.
Very understated. I'd say it was a good penalty taker, wasn't he, Craig, in that season? He took
he could strike a ball.
Penalties towards the end of the season. I think we've got some footage coming up. I think it was Wolves at home. Last minute penalty we scored. Yeah. He got the winner there, but he was an excellent signing. And like going back to Paul Goddard, Romeo, really experienced. I know he didn't get the goals. He got quite a few goals at the start of the season, but he played a real integral part in that season and Craig the next season when we were the first season in the Premier League.
Yeah,
the two together was a good pair up front.
Steve Whitten done 43 appearances that season.
Sorry?
Steve Whitten did 43 appearances for Town the season we win the title. Goddard did 19, I think, in the league. So maybe he was a little bit more.
I've got 9 goals. Okay.
I think John Lyall was hoping when Paul came that he was still going to be able to sort of find that magic, of his, his prime, He's trying to hang on to that because he didn't come for an awful lot of money. It was in our price range, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
how important is it, Craig and Romeo, to have those kind of like a manager to lean on a player that he's worked with previously, knows he's going to bring a lot of experience and leadership to the dressing room? Is it like to have an ally in the dressing room for the manager's style of play, for example?
I'm not sure necessarily, but other than the fact that like I said, I think he was hoping that he was going to get, moments from him even off the bench where he would, because he was, in his heyday, Paul, on his back to goal turning and his,
really good.
He's very quick on the turn and getting up.
Yeah.
That must have been, Craig, that must have been a really interesting move, talking about Paul Goddard, because obviously he's at West Ham, and then he goes to them rivals, Millwall. I mean, could you imagine that happening nowadays?
Yeah. Well, no, I can't. I honestly, Steve Lomas actually, he was up in St. John. He was St. Johnston, then he took the Millwall job because he wanted to, get his, feet wet in the league.
Go well.
How was it? It was never going to go. It was never going to go well.
No,
unless you just keep winning.
Talking to Millwall, what was it like playing at the Den, the old Den?
Oh,
terrible. I bet it was. Yeah, I bet it was, Romeo. Yeah,
it was terrible.
It's a war zone.
There, I remember. Well, I even don't know the score anymore. We playing there, and actually, I had to play right back against somebody who was so quick, and John Lyall put me to the right back position to play against him.
We won 3. That was in February, Romeo. We won 3-2 at Millwall.
Really, we won that game. Well,
yeah, 1-3-2.
That's you, Romeo, and you're defending. You won it.
That guy, he was so quick, and John, the oldest player, I was one of the oldest players at the time, played me right back against him. That was unbelievable.
So I think Martin's got some footage lined up. If we move forward, we were quite inconsistent up to the time sort of around Christmas.
Yeah.
So we played Boxing Day. We played Charlton Athletic at home. Just under 14,000, Matt. You think nowadays Boxing Day games?
Yeah, that's like a 25,000 crowd now.
Yeah,
nowadays,
yeah.
But then we move on to Blackburn. I think Martin has got some footage. It might take him a little while to load it up. Blackburn at home, big spending, weren't they, Craig, back then? They got obviously Kenny Dalglish, Jack Walker was in, and they were high flying at the time, weren't they? I think they were top of the league.
Yeah, that's right. Walker from Walker Steel. Yeah, he brought all the money in there from.
Yeah,
that type of individual isn't rich enough to make that kind of turnover of a club, anymore.
Yeah.
You literally have to be an oil state nowadays to be able to, what they do at the top end of the echelon.
Here it is.
He's got some footage if he presses play.
It's in reverse, isn't it? No.
Yeah.
Here we go. I think this is 1-0. I think this is oh, good stuff. Oh, what a save.
What a save there, Craig. Look at that.
Right.
Look at that kid.
I just made sure that was at the start of the video. Make sure.
There you go. Easy.
I got to move my feet better there a little bit.
Oh, well. Have you got the goals, Martin, from that game? Have you got the goals? If you have. We were losing 1-0 in that game, Matt, at half time.
Oh.
But we turned it round. I remember Gavin Johnson scored a diving header at the Churchman's End.
And in Dazelle.
Yeah, about 5 minutes from time.
Yeah.
17,500. I think Jason, Craig, played up front in that game. If I believe he played up front.
I think with an assist.
Here we go. There we go. Lovely ball.
Oh, look at that.
Diving header. He was a good player, wasn't he, Gavin Johnson?
Oh, solid. Very good. Very good technically. Good touch and a good passer of the ball. Good crosser of the ball.
That's a great strip, that. Look at that.
Just popped it in there.
Bullets.
Wow.
That's the equaliser.
Good goal.
Remember his cross at Anfield when for the equaliser in that.
That might be coming. I think we have got that. So I know that we're looking at the league title winning season, but we will come on to obviously.
You can't miss that one out, can we? Going to Anfield.
Remember Gavin crossing the ball.
Yeah. With a header. And there you go. That's Dazelle's winner. They should bring them blue nets back, Rich. Get them blue nets back.
I like the blue nets.
Yeah. There's Chrissy Kane.
Yeah, look at that.
What a legend. What a legend.
Those were the days.
There we go. Look, into Chrissy's feet. Just rolled. Colin Hendry, I think, centre half. Got a bit too tight there. Great finish.
Yeah.
Bottom corner.
Yeah.
We were off and rolling then, Craig, I think, because we'd been a bit inconsistent. But then I think you went to Port Vale on the New Year's Day. I think you won 2-1. and it's sort of.
Did we win that game?
Yeah, we won at Port Vale 2-1. Chris Kidd won. We got 2.
We've got to be playing Port Vale next season. I think they might be coming up.
I can't remember whether John Lyall mentioned about the lads going out that night.
I think when you were on, when you were on before, you did say about that. So tell that story again.
Was Romeo part of this?
Oh no, Romeo was a pro.
Well, you know, the funny thing about it, Craig, is that Rich is talking about those days, and I'm thinking, oh well, is that right? Is that right? But I forgot half of it. I'm totally, you know.
Do you remember that though? Do you remember that game?
No, I don't, because I must have. Not that long ago, I had a letter from a certain professor saying that in the 80s, players were heading the ball, and I had to do a test.
Oh, right.
I had to do a test, and the test was, you know, just written down, and I had to repeat it, and I couldn't. And I thought, my God! But when I was at West Brom, I had concussions, really bad one. Andy Gray, you remember him? Andy Gray.
Yes.
He was at Wolves.
Yeah.
He done me with the elbow, and I was concussion already. And the second one was against Aston Villa with West Brom again. So I'm thinking, you know, you're talking about those days, and I'm thinking, God, I can't remember half of it.
That's a really interesting subject, though, Craig. I know we're on about 91, 92, but now they're on about bringing extra subs in the Premier League, aren't they? But they've still not bought that concussion substitute, because Chris Sutton, you know, used to play for Norwich. His dad had dementia, and he's really big on about people heading the ball. And I was listening to him yesterday. It was an incident in the Leeds game, I think, Matt. I can't remember who it was. 2 of the players clashed, and they were down for quite a while. But it seems that they never, ever leave the field. You know, if they had that concussion sub, they'd be able to take them off.
Well, they do have it in the Premier League now, right?
I don't know if they've bought it in yet. I don't think they have.
Yeah, they have. I'm pretty absolutely sure. Yeah,
they never use it, do they? I've never seen anybody really use it.
I think the key to the concussion protocol situation is that the doctors that are actually doing it need to be neutral. They cannot be the club doctor. There's too much pressure put on them by managers. Or do
you remember Hugo Lloris for Spurs about 2 or 3 years ago?
Yeah,
he was in goal. They wanted to take him, and he wouldn't go off. Now, you're right there. If you have someone who's totally independent, they'll say, "Right, you're coming off." Because if you're the physio for that club, I think Mourinho was probably manager of Spurs back then. Now he's going to want his number one goalie playing.
Yeah, exactly.
If he takes him off, you just got to look after the players.
Well, and also the player saving the players from themselves, because there's a lot of times when it's like, no, I'll be okay. I'll be okay. You know, you don't want to be seen as soft. There's no blood. You know, it's looked upon differently now, thankfully, but we're still not quite there yet. But
you were talking about concussion. You were playing in the game at Norwich, the semi-final that night when Mitch Davray got knocked out when we lost 2-0 to Norwich. Do you remember that in the semi-final?
Carrow Road.
I remember.
The Milk Cup.
Milk Cup.
Milk Cup.
I was in the end there with the Ipswich supporters.
You were there, Craig.
It was unbelievable. Didn't Steve Bruce score?
Yeah, I remember.
Steve Bruce.
Go there, Craig. Bring back trauma.
There was 50p pieces coming through the cage.
Yeah,
and people were getting cut open.
Wow.
And I was like, wow, this is nuts.
Yeah.
But that game against Norwich, wasn't it Butcher who kicked the door?
Yeah. That's you guys know he was in there, weren't he? That's what we were told. Yeah. He kicked the door down.
Yeah. He kicked the door.
Wow.
He kicked it
You
quite
scored. I remember
brusquely.
you
Yeah.
scored in the first leg, Romeo, at Portman Road. We beat Norwich 1-0.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then we had to play the second leg. Yeah.
We
That's
should have
right.
beaten. We dominated. I think. Did you score? You might have. No, I don't think you scored. I think there was one that was maybe over the line. Churchman's end, Matt. I remember that. I was only small, but we dominated Norwich that day. We should have
Yeah,
won
we
2 or 3-0.
We were
And
so
I'll never
gutted. We didn't.
forget Steve Bruce. I thought I'm
No,
going to
we didn't
Wembley. You know, as a young boy, I'm going to go and watch my team at Wembley, and I cried
Yeah,
like a
yeah.
baby that night, Matt, when Steve Bruce.
Me too. Me too. I was inconsolable. Me too.
But
I was gutted too.
we were talking about dementia. You know that John Dean.
Yeah,
You remember John Dean?
Yeah,
yeah,
John.
he plays
Yeah.
for Town.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, he's got in a bad way.
Yeah.
Really?
I saw that in the media recently.
yeah.
Yeah.
With dementia?
Yeah.
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 It's
he's
a
got dementia.
it's a real problem. I mean,
Yeah.
I remember Romeo. Remember they're doing the center backs and defenders. They would be against the wind, so the ball's coming in with some pace,
Yeah.
and they would just have the defenders attack it and see if they can
Unbelievable.
head it back to the halfway line.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Can you imagine that now? Yeah.
And you're after the guys are just like this, like
Were they? Yeah.
Yeah. It's unbelievable when you look back, and the central defenders, especially when they had the ball, like David Linnigan, they
Yeah,
just
yeah.
attacked the ball, and if the ball was kicked to them, they would head the ball the same pace back.
Yeah, it's
So-
crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, just
Yeah, well,
throwing
talking
their
of-
head into it.
Talking
Yeah.
of great headers, so we'll fast forward. We're doing quite well in the league. Onto the cup run,
Here we go.
and we go to Anfield. We
The replay.
should have beat them at home, Craig. Should have beat Liverpool. Really windy that day, wasn't it? I remember on the
That's an
TV on the Sunday.
understatement.
Walking
was
at the
like-
post.
It was incredibly windy, like almost like unsafe. I thought things were flying around. It was unbelievable. Warkey, on a corner, he crashes one off the crossbar that came almost back to the halfway line. I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was on TV this game, wasn't it?
And you go to the replay.
Oh, here's Gavin, isn't
There
it?
we go. Look at that cross. Look at this.
Look at that!
Oh, what a goal.
He was good at that, wasn't he? Cutting in there and scoring around
Look
that
at, them.
6 yard
See,
mark.
look at that. 5,000 Town. This is when I thought we're going to win at Anfield.
Yeah,
Oh
I did
yeah,
as well.
Jason.
2 bites
Yeah.
of the cherry. Have some of that. at the top end.
So if Martin's got the free kick from Jan Molby, hopefully he's got it that comes up after this.
We were discussing this on the.
Oh,
Here it
yeah,
is.
look where he gets fouled.
Yeah.
That's where he falls. So
And look
take
where
it
the
where.
free kick is.
Look at that.
Yeah.
It was like 5
that was
yards.
Far
and
forward.
Yeah.
If you look at actually Mickey Stockwell comes off as a bullet man on the line
There he goes.
off the wall, and it goes right between his legs and just right in the top corner.
Steve McManaman.
Yeah, I should have stayed in my line there actually. But
It was a good little chip. But how they let them take that free kick from Molby right on the edge of the box when it was about 10 yards back, I never know, but there we go.
But I think that was a catalyst. I think that cup run, Craig, because
Yeah.
nowadays I think the FA Cup teams don't really take it seriously. Whereas I think that probably, in a way, it was the momentum that we gained from. Look, we were as good as Liverpool over them 2 legs, and we should have probably knocked them out if we're being
oh,
honest.
for sure, when you compete against teams like that and the quality that they had, of course, it's going to give you a bump. We were devastated when we lost that game. I mean, we were so close, and like you said, we should have won the game at home in bad conditions. But it was a really good tie, and with Bruce Grobbelaar starting his career in Vancouver with the Whitecaps, and when I was a youngster watching him and sort of just getting involved with football at that time, he was my idol. So walking out at Anfield next to him was pretty special. Did that a couple times. But
I was looking at some footage. It was from the season after, Craig, when we played Liverpool really early at Portman Road. Do you remember that penalty that they got at the North Stand then? Phil Whelan. It was an absolute great tackle on Dean Saunders. I don't know if you remember it, Matt.
I
Go
don't
and
remember
through. If you go on YouTube, there's footage there.
I remember that.
North Stand end. It was 1-1 at the time. He's gone through. You were in goal, Craig, that night, and he'd done a perfect sliding tackle, and the ball goes that way.
They give a pen.
and the referee gave a penalty. And I think Jan Mulvey scores and made it 2-1. But I think Chrissy Kiwomya equalised. I think literally in the last.
Yeah,
second.
we tended to find that some of the bigger calls or the questionable calls.
Yeah, what a surprise.
The small clubs just for some reason don't have the same clout.
I remember before we leave the cup, Rich. I remember going back a few years previous to this. Romeo, do you remember your goal against Everton at Goodison in the FA Cup? It was 2-2. Do you remember that?
Well, funny enough, somebody mentioned the other day, not that long ago, and so I looked it back on YouTube.
Yeah. The white
Then
strip.
everything came back again.
Yeah,
But,
that was great.
I scored with my left foot.
That was it. Yeah.
Only because I remember, looking it back. You're right.
Brilliant.
That was another game, Matt, that we should have won. We were fighting relegation then, weren't we, Romeo? And it was 2-2. And I always remember that replay, Matt, at Portman Road and Russell Osman. It was that pitch that night. It was a real bone-hard pitch, and it's bounced up and it's hit him on the arm, isn't it?
I was so furious. I wrote a letter to the FA moaning about the referee.
That was another game. Do you remember the old Parker jackets? Did you have a Parker jacket, Craig? Do you remember the Parker jackets with a big puffer hood?
No, but I had a sheepskin or two.
I always remember I cried that night walking out the ground. My dad says, sat in the pioneer stand.
One thing you guys must notice now, and you, Romeo, too, is that the pitches are immaculate.
Yeah.
To a point where it has absolutely changed the game.
Yeah.
Like, there's no way Man City's playing around in the 6-yard box on the pitches that we were playing on.
Not so much down in our level, Craig, at the minute. In Division 3, we still get a few ropey pitches down there.
We went to
Fleetwood earlier in the season. It was like being on the beach. But we were still playing good football. Still trying to play football on it.
Most of the ones in the Premier League, I think, are the hybrid, right? They've got that hybrid.
The Deso.
We are getting one of them pitches at Portman Road.
Yeah, we've got one coming apparently. Yeah,
season after next.
Portman Road used to have the best pitch. It was always voted the best pitch in the top flight.
It's because of Fisons, wasn't it?
No, it was the groundsman back then. I wish I remembered his name.
Winston Chapman.
Yes.
Winston Chapman, yeah.
Never took a motor on there other than it was just all push. You just push the lawnmower on there. And then I remember
about 50 years, I think.
Bobby Ferguson, I want to say in about 85, 86, something like that. He wanted to get this game on against QPR because they were missing somebody out through a suspension. And there was some snow on the pitch. And fans came down and they basically just pushed all the snow off it.
Shoveled it off.
Took all the freaking grass off it as well. And now it never seemed to recover after that.
So let's move into April, Matt.
Yeah, let's get towards the home straight.
There's 3 games here. There's 3 games. Yeah. We went on a real good. So we beat Derby on the 28th of March 2-1. So we win 5 games on the bounce here, but there's 3 games here that hopefully Martin's got the footage of. Southend United away, Wolverhampton Wanderers on the Tuesday night at home, and then Newcastle United. So hopefully, Martin, if he can find the Southend game. Bill Whelan, David Linnigan's got injured by this time, Craig. Did he do his knee against Barnsley, I think, on the Tuesday night?
Dave Linnigan?
Yeah.
I don't remember that. I don't recall that exactly. I remember the Southend game because that little ground was just packed.
Yeah.
Roots Hall. It still looks like that as well. It hasn't really
not a lot different.
It's kind of sad.
Just put a few seats in, didn't they?
Yeah.
The amount of Ipswich fans in that cage behind the net is quite something.
Huge that. Yeah. We've got the Newcastle footage, Rich, according to Martin.
No.
Here we go. This is one of your favourite games ever, this, Rich, wasn't it? It's Paul Goddard.
I think we're 1-0 down at this time. I think Gavin Peacock scored 2 that day.
There you go.
There you go, Stevie Whitten.
He's not celebrating, is he? Look. Looks angry. Love that. Committed. Rich is in there somewhere. Were you in the North Stand here, Rich?
Pioneer that day.
Walkie, there he is, number 5. 1-1.
So this is 1-1. Kevin Keegan was manager back then.
Yeah,
there you go. Gavin Peacock. Gavin Peacock, great finish. I don't know what the goalie's doing.
Carol, I should have. There's no way. Yeah. You know what he's doing now?
Gavin Peacock?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's
Is
like
he a chaplain or something?
Yeah,
He's like a priest in Calgary,
That's it.
Canada.
yeah.
Yeah, I knew he was.
Wow.
Like he is so religious, like beyond
The
religious.
referee there. The referee there. Do you remember the referee, Alf Bucks?
Yeah, yeah, I do remember him. Yeah.
You remember him?
Yeah.
Second.
Yeah, I do.
Here you go, Romeo. Just for you. You're on about Walkie's headers.
Here it comes. Have some of that.
Oh,
there you
that's
go.
Yeah.
Romeo called it.
Neil
Okay.
Thompson had an unbelievable left
What?
foot.
Yeah,
on
what
as
a
well.
delivery.
That's why I think at Southampton he cut inside and he scored with his right foot. And I was
Yeah,
like,
that was the one.
Yeah,
There you go.
yeah, I remember that.
I don't
Mickey
remember him
Stockwell.
using his right foot other than standing on it.
Yeah.
Lovely through ball.
Steve Palmer.
You know what? Stevie Palmer, was he not offside, Chris? There, he looked offside. Stevie Palmer, we picked him up from Cambridge University, I believe.
Yeah, very.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And a great human being and a reliable professional that he had an engine on him. He could run and run and run. And,
Yeah.
you know, not the most technically gifted player, but if you needed to mark somebody out of the game, Romeo, remember, you just.
Yeah. Well, actually, when I was injured, he came in. He came on in the team. And when I left, he took my place.
Oh,
Fresh legs. So
Big shoes to fill that, Romeo.
yeah. So we lost all the skill, but we got an engine.
he
came
was
quite-
no,
he
but
came
he
a
could
big
play
player
as
for
well.
Watford.
He could play.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know. It was amazing pickup though, because like we played, I think Cambridge University in some friendly match or some, I don't know what was going on, and I remember actually playing in it, and they were like, wow, maybe it was a one-off. He played well. Maybe we should bring him in, have a look at him.
No.
But that's an unusual route. He was he was the smartest guy in that dressing room by
Not
me.
many ones.
Oh
Just
yeah.
say that because Oscar says in the chat there, Craig, Steve Palmer was on University Challenge.
There you go.
recently.
Backs up what you
Yeah.
say, Craig. Yeah.
He was,
He was a clever
doing
guy.
software. He was working on doing software stuff while he was playing on the side.
Wow. Was he really?
So
Even back
if
then?
he was the cleverest player in the dressing room, who was the least clever in the dressing room? Let's put it that way.
He was after the brush.
Who would that be?
Yeah, I'm thinking.
You don't have to answer the question. I think Steve Palmer went on to become a bit of a Watford legend, didn't he?
That's
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
That's
He
right.
became.
was that the season? Was that the season when Jason? I think I spoke to you last time about that. When Jason and Chris had to go to apologise, they put a cake in someone's face, didn't they? Was that in Hollywood, Craig?
I don't remember.
Yeah,
I don't know where that was.
John Lyall made them. I remember they had to go and apologise, Matt. They were like
Really? What was it? They've ordered a cake. They've
do
ordered a cake in the
remember-
club,
I
and
do
then
remember that.
something like that. There must have been all sorts going on at Hollywood, especially towards the end of that season when we're doing really well.
Oh yeah, there was all sorts. You know what? Though interesting thing was, and Romeo, you could probably attest to this too. Like we didn't make a decision. We would never go to Hollywood's on a night where we lost.
No.
You just wouldn't. You
No.
just
No.
you're asking for trouble. You physically might get hurt.
Yeah.
In fact, there was one night we played. There was an FA Cup game one year, and I think it was an FA Cup, League Cup. We played Barnsley, and we got beat. And I think they were in the division below us. I can't remember, but Karen, Frank Yallop's wife, even to this day, surprise, surprise, the one that was in the hostage video, she was having her 21st birthday, and we kind of promised that we would go up and say hi and whatever. And so we go in there, and I don't know how long we were in there, not very long, 20 minutes. And the bouncers came over and said, we'll hold them back, but you guys got to go. Like, we'll give you a 5 minute, get in your car and
Really? I can't recall this.
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah, because you would never have gone, Romeo, not after we lost, but me and Frankie, a couple of numb nuts, we went, didn't we?
I'm looking at these games, the tail end of the season here, Rich. And Romeo, you seem to be playing right back for most of them. I know you said earlier that you played right back in some of the games, but it seems like the last dozen or so games you're playing at number 2 here.
Yeah, but I played right back. I played central midfield. I even played at the back for the town.
Utility. Yeah.
I
Good.
played all over the place.
dependable. Put Romeo wherever he'll excel.
No, I was always a sort of utility player.
Yeah.
I could
Important to have, I
play
think.
all over the place at the time.
Yeah. It's great.
So
Like
after that win
walking.
against Newcastle, we
Sorry?
are nearly there. We're nearly over the line, Matt. But then we have a bit of a rough spell. We go to Sunderland, Craig. We lose 3-0. Then we go to Bristol City. I think
That's a
Andy
tough place
Cole
to
was
go.
playing in that game.
Old
Lost
Roker
2-1.
Park. That was Roker Park, right?
Yeah, the old one.
Underground, yeah.
The Roker Roar. I mean, that was a tough place to go and play.
Yeah, the wheels. Suddenly the wheels fall off. We lose to Sunderland. We lose to Bristol City. We get a draw with Grimsby at home.
Well, Grimsby, that was the night where we were saying about the crowds, Matt. Port Vale at the start, you've got under 9,000. Grimsby's come to town, and you've got nearly 22,500 on a Tuesday night.
Yeah, people were starting supporters were starting to believe,
Yeah, a lot of nerves around the ground, I should imagine.
Oh, geez, are you kidding?
Would you sleep before, like the night before a game, Romeo and Craig? Would you, like, knowing that game's on the horizon, you're counting down? Would you sleep well the night before, or would your mind be on the game?
No, I had no problem sleeping.
Straight out, Romeo.
I tell you that. But
we couldn't wake him up though.
You got to wake me up. No.
Back in 1 minute, Matt.
Now, of course you're nervous, but over the years, experience kicks in.
Of course.
You sleep, and the next day you're ready for the game. So
Yeah.
I had no problem with that.
Mm-hmm. I always found that the only time when I really struggled was when the year when we went to Blackburn and had to get at least a draw to stay in the Premier League. Those few days and leading up to that game, I remember vividly that I couldn't eat, I couldn't sleep. There was so much on it, and I'm like, oh my God, they got Shearer and Sutton, and we're supposed to go to Blackburn. We need at least a draw. Oh, freaking! Like, what's going to happen here? And in the end, there wasn't cell phones and things like that either. So it was like I was going up we were drawing, but it wasn't enough. And the next thing you know, it is enough. And it's like, well, what do you mean it's enough? It's not. And then the final whistle blew. Everybody's like, yeah, we're safe. Why? Oh, yeah. Mark Steen scored a late goal for Chelsea against Sheffield United.
Yeah. Of course,
Sheffield, that was incredible. Sheffield United on the last day was seventh from bottom at one point and got relegated.
Crazy.
They had some bad luck.
Yep, absolutely. There's not much love lost between Sheffield United and Ipswich. We've had a few playoff battles with them in previous years.
Yeah.
But it's funny you talk about nerves, Romeo, because I remember when we had Martin Royster on the show and we were talking about a moment, I think Ipswich are 2 down and he comes on as a substitute. And I said, were you nervous? I'd been really nervous that had been me having to come on and make an impact. He said, of course I didn't get nervous. That's why I'm a player and you're a fan. I was like, yeah, fair play.
So, Oxford United, the old Manor Ground.
Yeah, no, that's a hell of a ground, isn't it? Yeah.
We go there and we seal promotion 1-1. Who scored for Oxford that day, Matt?
Jim Magilton.
Yeah,
Jim Magilton.
Yeah.
And who had to...
The back disappeared 60 seconds.
There you go.
I think I had to mark Jim Magilton at the time.
Tomo.
You were marking him, were you?
Oh,
Yeah.
look at that.
Oh. Look at that.
Oh,
Look
absolute. Oh.
That's the final whistle. Look.
There we go. Running on the pitch.
Gavin Johnson got our goal in that game. All the goals were in the first 10 minutes. So Magilton scored after 7, and then Johnson equalises on
Tomo getting mobbed. I was hoping Martin was going to keep playing that because it shows you in the dressing room. I think you're opening up the champagne. Look at that fan. It's Phil Wheeler.
Look at this. Were you there? Were you there, Rich?
No, I didn't go to that. I wasn't quite going away then.
There's Romeo at the back there. Look.
Small dressing room.
Look at that.
Paul
Goddard. Yeah.
Look at Jason and Chris in the back. Look at them.
Oh, yeah. Those guys were stuck together.
Okay.
Oh,
what a moustache walk he had, wasn't it? What a great moustache that was.
Yeah. You know what? I used to think of him back then. I'd be like, look how old you are. And now I look at him. Now he looks young.
There we go. Look at that.
And of course, Romeo, you had a great moustache as well. I'm disappointed you no longer have it.
No, well, yeah.
Great look.
It's my missus who told me, please take it off.
Oh, really?
So I did.
Fair enough.
So what was the night like after that, Craig, when you were promoted? Where did you go?
All back on the coach.
Oh,
Wow, yeah, we came back to Ipswich and you know, I can't even recall where we were downtown. We were everywhere, but I don't actually remember. It
Hazy.
was we had a few drinks on the bus on the way back too,
Yeah.
so we had a few hours of it.
Champagne by the looks of things.
Well, Romeo's more of a champagne Charlie, but
Yeah.
I was more beer myself. But
What was John Lyall? What was John Lyall? What did he drink?
John Lyall, he
John?
didn't drink.
he
didn't
did.
drink.
I
No
can't.
drink.
No. He was stoic down at the front, I should imagine.
He was actually he banned alcohol from the bus.
Did he?
And before that, like when I was there, you know, in the 80s as a youth player, I mean, I used to stack the bus as part of my job, full of beer. for
With
the
beer,
occasion.
yeah, at the back, yeah.
I mean, you're putting on over 100 pints on there. And that's what the players would do back in those days. They'd get
Yeah, I think we had Terry Butcher on, Craig, and he used to say when they come back and they'd pull in like at the ground and they'd open the door at the back and just all these cans would come flying out.
and then drive home.
Yeah, get the car and drive home.
The old
There you
age
go.
there.
Yeah, so John Lyall was kind of, you know, he was a little bit ahead of his time. I mean, even when you
Yeah.
look at West Ham and Ron Greenwood and the way they coached there, and the,
Yeah, yeah.
you know, this so-called academy of football, and so John Lyall was, I thought, quite a ways ahead of the majority of certainly British managers that I ever had. I don't know if you'd agree with that, Romeo, coming from the Netherlands, where you guys were miles ahead of everybody at that time, and it wasn't until the UK and England, the FA, kind of finally figured out that, you know, maybe we're doing something wrong here. We should look at the Dutch.
Yeah.
Now, when I first came to England, it was with Martin Jol. And
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
we didn't do in England a warming up. So Martin and myself, we went up before the game, of course, half an hour before the game. We went out, do warming up, just the two of us. All the others were sitting in the dressing room, stretching or having a warm bath. We
Wow.
found it so strange at the
Yeah.
time. But funny enough, 8-9 years later, I was doing the same, you know. And talking about the differences, you know, Ipswich was a bit out of the everything. We had to travel on the Friday to go to
Yes.
games.
The
Whereas
geography of it, yeah.
when you live in Birmingham, like West Bromwich Albion, you just leave on the day to go to the.
Yeah,
And
cool.
the food we had, there was boiled chicken, steak,
Okay.
wasn't it, Greg? And
Boiled chicken and beans.
and beans. That's it, beans. Yeah, and steak. You had a choice.
Yeah.
But if you look at it now, how professional everything is, you mentioned the pitch, how nicely it is now. But if you look at how we had to play, we only had one sub at the time. Do you
Yeah.
remember that? When somebody was injured, I remember myself playing against Tottenham for the cup. Were you there, Craig, when I broke my toe? And Bobby Ferguson said, "Well, I need you to play," and he put it that the doctor put the injection
Wow.
to
That's
numb it,
right.
and
I
I had to
remember that.
play. But Ian Atkins was injured as well. So after 20 minutes, Ian Atkins was waving to the dugout. I can't make it anymore, so I had to stay on with a broken toe.
God.
So half time, the doctor came in, and I said, "Well, you know, get me an injection because it was worn out." So he put in another injection, and after 20 minutes, I couldn't leave the pitch because we already had a sub.
Yeah.
So I had to stay on.
Wow.
So, but those were the days.
Yeah.
Nowadays, like you mentioned, Craig, when somebody's got concussion, it's different
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
But those days, you know, you just played on.
Yeah.
Or you've been to take to hospital, like myself.
Did Ron Atkinson bring you to England, Romeo? Was he your manager at West Brom?
Was my manager at West Brom.
Yeah.
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 What's his name now? Thinking, God, I can't think of his name now. No,
Who do you guys say? Ron Atkinson?
no, it wasn't Ron Atkinson. No.
No.
Ron Atkinson was just before.
Oh,
Then he
right,
left
okay.
to Man United.
Tell us
Yeah,
in
he
the
went to
comments,
Man U.
everyone. Who was the West Brom manager after
Oh.
Atkins?
His name was Ron Wiley.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
No, Ron
He
Wiley
played
came
against
after.
John
He was
Wall.
one
Yeah,
of the
John
managers
Wall.
after
Was,
the manager who got me. But Ron Wiley was one of the managers, yeah.
Oh, okay. Oh, great
So we
stuff.
move on. The last game of the season at home to Brighton.
I can remember
If you've
this
got-
very well.
If you've got the footage, Martin, you can play it all. It would be good. So 26,803.
Brilliant.
You know, what was it like that day walking out on the pitch, Craig? You know, you're champions. You're at home.
We get the trophy before the game, don't we?
Yeah, we got the trophy before the game.
Did we do it before the game?
Yeah, before the game.
Imagine that now.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, it was nice being able to not have to worry about getting anything. That would have,
Yeah.
you know. And I remember that. I mean, the pitch. Talk about the pitch. I mean, by that time of the season, I mean, it was a cow pasture.
Yeah.
A bulb awaiting to happen.
Yeah.
But it was a ton of fun. Absolutely, yeah, a ton of fun. And then
Maybe
after
go-
going up into the director's box after the game, and
Everyone on
and
the pitch.
The pitch invasion.
They actually got relegated, Craig, that day. Brighton. They went
Yeah,
down.
didn't they? They went down.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They finished second from bottom. Yeah.
Actually, funny enough, that was my last game for the
That was
town.
it. Yeah, that was
Here
it, Romeo, wasn't it? Yeah.
Here we go.
Yeah, because your wife made you leave. Penalty!
That's a penalty. Look at the way the North stand there, Matt. They sway down and they all come
Yeah.
down
Perry,
like that.
that's Perry Digweed in goal.
Perry
for Brighton.
Digweed in goal.
Why is he
Tracksuit bottoms, Craig. What's that all about in May? Why is he wearing tracksuit bottoms?
Because the front of the net's like freshly paved concrete. Look at it.
Oh, look at that. That's a great penalty. Look at the North stand.
You see the surge?
That
Yeah.
Brighton kit's awful.
Mad, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's Raphael Mead there. He
This
scored
is a
it,
good goal. This is a good goal. Nods it down.
Oh
Johnson,
yeah, the old put it in the mixer.
Johnson left-footed drills it.
There you
Oh,
go.
yeah.
Look at that. Great. That. We need some more goals like that from left back.
2-0. There's
You got
Romeo.
Romeo? There's Romeo. Look.
Oh,
Nothing
cut across
strike
a
that,
little
isn't
bit. Nice.
You see.
Fraser
That's
couldn't get
2-0.
his feet out of the mud.
I think Raphael Mead scored the goal, didn't he, Matt?
He does, yeah.
There we go.
Yeah,
This is
he
it.
just played for Arsenal, didn't he? There it is.
Oh,
A little bit of glimmer for them.
Yeah, right through my legs, I think.
Yeah.
That's in
That's
it.
a hell of a strip, isn't it? Look at that. Like a stick of rock.
He's a big lad.
another Neil Thompson corner.
Oh, of course. He had a left foot. Look at that.
Stevie went.
There we go.
Stevie, yeah.
What a day. Brilliant.
Jason's got the captain's armband there, Romeo.
Yeah.
Jason got what, sorry?
He was captain that day.
Hell was captain that day. Yeah.
See, if that had been back now, if that was back now, if this was did you know that was your last game for the club that day?
No.
Oh, you didn't?
No, I didn't.
Because his wife hadn't told him when we're leaving yet.
John Lyall, my contract expired that season. So John Lyall gave me another year.
Wow.
And the Dutch NEC Breda, my old trainer was there, who when I first started, and he knew that my contract expired, so he gave me a 3-year contract.
Oh, wow. So it turned out to be a better deal for you.
When I was 33,
Yeah, yeah.
only because to get me over to Holland, back to Holland.
Yeah.
And my missus wanted to go back as well, so
Made
in
sense.
the end I decided to go back.
Did you ever have a little tinge of regret, Romeo, about not playing in the season, the season following in the Premier League, the first Premier League?
I wanted to stay
Yeah.
in England because I was already 8 years in England, and
Yeah,
I could at Ipswich I could stay for 10 years. And what do you call it again?
Testimonial.
Yeah.
Testimonial. That's it.
Yeah.
I could get my testimonial.
Yeah.
But my missus thought differently. She wanted to get my kids a Dutch education. She thought it was too long now. And she thought if I stay another 2 years in England, Romeo would never, ever go back.
Oh, okay.
Because I liked it there.
I hope you're still together.
Yeah.
You know what, as well though, guys, like when is as much as like you say regret from Romeo's point of view, the Premier League turned into something we didn't expect it to.
Absolutely.
We really just saw it as a name change. We were like,
Yeah.
yeah, we're back in the top flight, but okay, now it's the Premier League first, second, third, as opposed to 1, 2, 3, 4. So we didn't see it as anything different. We didn't think that like it. Like I feel bad for a lot of the greats beforehand. It's like football didn't start in 1992.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
But the statistics of the Premier League certainly did, and it became its own.
I always
thing.
remember do you remember the advert, Craig? They had they had one player from every team, didn't they? I think
Alive and kicking.
Borky was our man.
Yeah. Alive and kicking. Yeah,
he was there.
Yeah.
Obviously, I remember the Monday Night Football. They had the fireworks. They had the Sky Strikers, didn't they? The dancing girls, and it was all glitz, wasn't it?
That's right. They were trying to glitz it up a little bit.
Americanize it is what they were trying to do, wasn't it, Craig?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's getting more and more that way, really. I mean, as far as I think, the stadiums all over the place were built. They weren't built for comfort. You go into the bathroom and they're just troughs. It was you got a seat and that's it. You got a cold pie and maybe a cup of tea. Now people want more when they go to a game. They want more of an experience when they go to a game, and they expect certain things to be done. And so we're seeing that this is just a sort of a change, and which is good. I mean, there was a time when we were playing in England, me and Romeo's time, where there was very few women would go to games. It was nasty. It was nasty, or could potentially be. So it wasn't really a great environment. And it took, with the going through those times, and when you saw what happened in the Bradford fire, and not that was a crowd violence, but just the state of the stadiums and the barbed wire fencing, caging people in is like what's going on here? Hillsborough, and so on. So that at least it got more civilized from that standpoint with the all-seater stadiums.
Like Lee says in the chat there, Lee Anderson, Matt, Ipswich were the first all-seater Premier League stadium.
Was it really?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Not Coventry.
No, Ipswich Town.
Oh,
there you go. Look.
Fair days. Fair days.
I tell you what, it was brilliant though, that all standing in that. And when you see the highlights,
the surge.
Yeah. I mean, the surge was actually that's what the dangerous part of those were, really. But I mean, there's still safe ways they can do standing. The Germans do an excellent job with the to allow standing.
Yeah, safe standing.
So it is possible to do it safely, and I think they should bring it back. And
they've trialled it, I think, haven't they? At certain.
I think Chelsea have got it. I think Man United have got it at Old Trafford. There's certain
we'll see that
sections in the stadium. You have your little section. You have your little section that you're in, and you've got your seat, but you've got like a bar, and you're not going to get any of them crushing, like what happened at Hillsborough, man.
Yeah.
Well, look, we've done nearly an hour and a half. Martin, do you want to come in and quickly? Is there any quick questions from the comments we can give the guys for 5 minutes before we say goodnight?
Hello. What a show. Fabulous show. Thoroughly enjoyed listening to Romeo and Craig. We've got the obvious, such as who had the better moustache, Walker or Zondervan?
The moustache.
Brilliant.
That was from Mike D. Colin asked, what does Romeo think of Muren and Tyson?
What I think of them? I think those days they were one of the better midfielders in Holland.
Yeah.
They were a generation before me. I'm not sure how old he is, but they were quite older than I was.
Mm-hmm.
And they were playing for Holland as well.
Internationals.
Internationals, yeah. So
Arnold Muren crossed the ball for Van Basten.
88. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and that famous goal.
Yeah.
Wasn't like it was a great ball either, but it was like this.
What a volley.
But I think too, though, Romeo with Ipswich, because Bobby Robson had brought in foreigners, Tyson and Muren especially, and there's the attitude in England where they're not going to be able to play here. They're going to get kicked the lumps out of them.
Yeah.
The game was different back then, and they tried to kick lumps out of them. And then they were like, hold on a minute. These guys are absolutely brilliant. They couldn't get the ball off them.
No, especially France.
Yeah, Franz is unbelievable.
It's
And then he
unbelievable.
actually went to Vancouver Whitecaps, so I actually saw him when he played out there. But
He did, yeah.
it changed, and I think from that time on, even when the likes of myself, that holds a Canadian passport, which is basically an anchor for any footballer, basically until recently, we've seen the likes of Alphonso Davies, Jonathan Davidson, Richie Laray at Nottingham Forest are moving their way over. But the perception, I think, the fact that Ipswich had dabbled in the foreign market and believed in it gave me a chance. Where if that wasn't the case, I don't know if I would have been signed.
I think we've always had such an affinity with Dutch players, haven't we? Because of that history. So you got Muren, Tyson, Romeo, Martin Royce. It amazes me. Like, I know Romeo was saying earlier about Brexit and things will make it difficult, but we've always had such an affinity, which makes me think, Romeo, you could put in a call to Denzel Dumfries when he's out of contract at Inter Milan and say, "Do you fancy a little trip to Suffolk?" That'd be very good. Take him as a right wing back.
It's a shame that we can't, because of the Brexit, we can't get any Dutch players into this league. It's a shame.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I would have gone to the Ipswich Town head of recruitment and tried to get some Dutch players in.
Yeah.
But it's a shame. We can't do it.
Yeah.
That is a shame.
This may have already been asked, but what is Craig and Romeo's best Ipswich Town memory?
Oh, good question. My good memory was when we won the championship.
Yeah.
That's I've got a good memory of that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Me too. Actually winning a trophy was amazing, and
in far between.
But in the Premier League, when you went and experienced the old, even the for the most part, we started off at Old Trafford quite well. It was later on and we struggled, but and playing at Anfield and playing at these these top clubs, like every single game, I really it sounds kind of corny, but it was special. Like it really was. You knew you were where you wanted to be, and that's every player wants to play at the top end. And that's what your goals are.
Yeah, especially from where you're from, Craig, where soccer wasn't perceived as the number one sport. Yeah.
No, I know exactly. Absolutely, and we're seeing quite a bit of growth in that area. Certainly over here, the game's changing drastically and dramatically. And I think with the World Cup coming up and them qualifying, and in the manner that they did, and with some really exciting players like Alphonso Davies at Bayern Munich is certainly one of the best left-sided players in the world, and it's exciting and it's great for for young Canadian girls and boys, because our women's team won the Olympic gold medal this past summer as well. So a lot of good things going on, but hopefully we can keep the momentum going. But with 2026 being a guarantee, because we're hosting it with Mexico and the US, that continuing momentum, I think really, and the expansion to 48 teams, we should make every World Cup from here on in, should actually change the landscape here forever.
Yeah. Brilliant. Great to say.
We've got Martin Bullard. Please ask Romeo about the amazing goal he scored at Goodison in the FA Cup.
Well, we touched on that earlier, didn't we?
We talked about it. The first was Kevin Wilson. He scored the first one.
We used to love him, didn't we? Another great moustache.
He got a great moustache as well, Romeo.
Yeah. We had the same sort. But those days in the 80s, everybody had moustaches.
Yeah.
Craig never had a moustache, did you, Craig?
No, I had a goatee.
Okay.
Yes, you did.
I couldn't grow one.
What?
There's probably a Merlin sticker, Martin, out there.
Yeah, I'll try and find that.
We'll find it.
Mike D. Romeo, was it hard to have been at the changing of the guard from the greatest squad to the worst? Is his words. They're his words.
I don't understand the question.
You came into the club just as Paul Mariner left and Walkie left.
Everybody left.
Yeah. So you was kind of like that sort of changing of an era a little bit, wasn't it?
Yeah, you saw it all. You went from this absolutely juggernaut of a squad to it's just me left.
No, I didn't know at the time that Ipswich Town was in financial because the Pioneer stand
Yeah.
Cost them a lot of money at the time.
Yeah, it did. Yeah.
And nearly cost them, they nearly went bankrupt at the
Yeah.
time. That's what I've been told. I came to the club, and Bobby Ferguson took me, signed me. But it was a shame that I didn't know all this, of course. But even so, after 8 years at Ipswich, I loved it. I think I had my best spell of football at Ipswich.
Yeah, absolutely.
You were the anchor, Romeo. You held it all together. You were the glue. You brought, you kept everything on an even keel. But
I do remember my debut at Stoke away in the opening day of the season, whatever year that was, 80 something or other. And Romeo was a very calming influence on me in a dressing room that was freaking crazy. So I remember that. He was like, "Yeah, I got your back. Don't worry about it. You just do your own job, and we'll figure this out." Yeah.
Brilliant.
Carl Brooks, what's Romeo's biggest regret? Leaving Ipswich or shaving his moustache?
Well, his wife had a part in both of them.
Leaving Ipswich.
Yes. You still probably remembered, Romeo. Absolutely. All the love we've got in the comments there. It's brilliant.
You were, absolutely. It's been a great show. A really enjoyable show. Listen, I'll hand it back to you and you guys, and you can sort of round it up because that's the end of the questions I've got. You've done amazing.
Yeah, I mean, look, we'll wrap it up there, shall we? Craig, you've probably got, I think, you're 5 hours behind us or something.
Yeah, 5 hours behind. Yeah, I'm good.
Romeo's an hour in front.
Yeah, an hour in front. It's here it is. An hour later.
Yeah,
you're nearly midnight there, right?
Yeah. Well, thanks for giving us all the time again. I know we really appreciate it. And like I say, both of you fondly remembered by the fan base when we told everyone who was coming on the show. We've got loads of great comments and things, so we really do appreciate it. And I know all the Ipswich fans in the UK and watching around the world will tune in and really enjoy your input. So thanks so much.
Well, thank
you for having us.
Yeah, thanks for having us. And Romeo's usually in bed 3 hours ago, so.
One more thing before you go. Just one more thing, because you mentioned facial hair. I do have a picture here of a certain Mr. Forrest.
There he is.
There it is.
Sporting
the
goatee.
Oh yeah.
Bring it back, Craig. That's a good look.
Slick.
Yeah.
Them old goalkeeper tops. What were them old goalkeeper tops like, Craig? With the big pads.
You know, the worst ones were the very first one. You know, when Paul Cooper was in the first team there when I came in '84, and their Adidas sponsor. I don't know what it was that it was made out of, but every time you washed it, it got smaller and smaller, and Paul Cooper would have to stand on it and literally
stretch it,
hold this thing to stretch it out so you could wear it. Like just plain green, but the material was probably caught and just shrunk.
Yeah.
Trevor Curtin would just throw it in the hottest washing machine ever, and they would come out half the size.
Yeah, brilliant.
Trevor Curtin. Now you mentioned somebody from the past.
Yeah, a legend behind the scenes. Absolutely.
Wheels. Didn't they, Romeo? That was his nickname.
So
Wheels.
Wheels.
Yeah.
Wheels. That's his nickname. That's it. Yeah. Wheels.
He did everything. He was a driver.
Listen, Craig, when I got a season ticket with my dad, so we went down in after the end of 1984. We met him. He took us into the Pioneer stand and we picked our seats where to sit. He was the kit man. He was the coach driver, and he was showing people around the stadium.
He was. Yeah.
And he was looking after us youth YTS guys. Yeah. And he accidentally, when he was younger, he cut half his finger off with a bandsaw, right? So he had this nub.
Yeah.
And he would stick it in our rib cages when we didn't do our jobs well. He'd run his finger on top of the door. If there was dust on it, he'd be like, "All right, you're gonna get the
oh my god,
the nub, getting the nub."
Has anyone got a spare £2.50 here? Because I've just found something that might interest a couple of people.
Oh, there he is!
Look at Romeo there. Look at that! I remember having that sticker in my album.
Cool.
There you
Great
go,
slip as
Romeo.
well. There you go, Romeo.
That's my
Yeah.
first shirt pack
Radio.
I had.
Yeah, brilliant.
Well,
Radio or
funny enough, I've got to put my glasses on for this because, yeah.
There you go. Good Tash. Great shirt. Those are the days. £2.50 could be yours.
Up the first floor club. I tell you what, he was
Unbelievable.
absolutely on fire.
Perfect. What a show. I've really enjoyed myself.
Brilliant.
Thank you so much.
Brilliant stuff. Thanks.
Well, thank you for having me.
No,
Thanks,
thank
Romeo.
you,
Thanks so
Romeo.
much for
Thank
coming
you
on.
again,
And
Craig.
Craig, first time I see you after how many years? After 92.
Oh,
Yeah, 30
Okay.
years.
too many. Too
We
many
haven't seen
years.
each other. I've seen
Nah,
Frank.
20 years probably.
Well, I've spoken to Frank Yellop, your old mate,
Yeah, yeah,
and he told me what you were doing. That's why I knew you know what you were
Yeah.
doing.
yeah.
But keep yourself well.
You as well, pal. Really nice to see you.
Nice to see you. Yeah.
Let's keep-
I'll
we'll keep
give
in
you a
touch.
ring actually. I've
Yeah.
got your number.
That'd be awesome.
Okay. Speak soon.
I can't add anything else. So good night, ladies and gentlemen.